This is the Information Nation. I'm your host, Ken, on Orion Talk Radio, oriontalkradio.com, theinformationnation.com. Hope everybody's having a very good night. Hey, just think, next week, Sunday, Christmas, we'll all be sitting around eating reindeer, wondering what to do with all of the wrapping paper that's laying all over the living room. Isn't that great? The end of another year. The end of another year that has been so uneventful. Gee, it's been so boring out there. And if you're asleep, it's been boring. If you're not asleep, welcome to the New World Order. Hey, let people know, like we do every week, we have a chat room. If you'll go to Orion Talk Radio, our homepage, and you'll mouse over shows and hosts, you'll get a drop-down that will appear magically. It's like magic. And about halfway down, you'll see the Information Nation home. If you click on that, it'll take you right to the chat room. We're on Chat and Go. And you can join the fine people in there. But before you do that, when you're on the home page, you'll see a T-shirt. And if you hurry, maybe Santa will bring you one for Christmas. All you have to do is click on the T-shirt and purchase one. They make wonderful Christmas gifts, and you'll look real sharp wearing one of those. But we would like more people to join us in the chat room. We got some wonderful people in the chat room every week. Got Annie and Anti-Tyranny News and Federal Jack and Joe Joseph and John Connor and Julie, and even I'm in there. Jimmy's in there, Rich from Florida, Sheeple 2, Twisted Hair. They're all in the chat room in there creating all sorts of hate and discontent. I mean, they're talking so nicely to each other. No, they're really some nice people. Very informed people. Join those people in the chat room and enjoy the conversation while you listen to the show. But don't forget to listen to the show. Other than that, it has been kind of an uneventful week. December 15th, 2011 marked the 220th anniversary of the Bill of Rights. It also marked the death of the Bill of Rights. We can take that in our Constitution, just throw it out the window. We don't need that anymore. That old piece of paper, for crying out loud. Bunch of old guys signed that thing. Jeez. What do we need the Constitution for? You don't seem to understand what the government has done to you with this piece of legislation called the National Defense Authorization Act. And they have, as soon as Obama signs it, they have taken away your freedoms. You no longer have a Constitution. You no longer have a Bill of Rights. You're just the slaves that they want you to be. You're a terrorist. Whatever they decide on you. So what I'm going to do, I got a little link here, little thing you may find interesting. And this is off of Freedom Watch with Judge Napolitano, but it starts out with Rand Paul talking in the Senate. Give it a listen and find out what you don't have anymore and what you're suspected of.
Know good and well that someday there could be a government in power that is shipping its citizens off for disagreements. There are laws on the books now that characterize who might be a terrorist. Someone missing fingers on their hands is a suspect, according to the Department of Justice. Someone who has guns, someone who has ammunition that is weatherproofed, someone who has more than 7 days of food in their house can be considered a potential terrorist. If you are suspected by these activities, do you want to have the government have the ability to send you to Guantanamo Bay for indefinite detention? A suspect. We're not talking about someone who has been tried and found guilty. We're talking about someone suspected of activities. But some of the things that make you suspicious of terrorism are having food, having more than 7 days of food, missing fingers on your hand, having ammunition, having weatherproofed ammunition, having several guns at your house. Is that enough? Are you willing to sacrifice your freedom for liberty? I would argue that we should strike these detainee provisions from this bill because we are giving up our liberty. We are giving up the constitutional right to have due process before we're sent to a prison. This is very important. I think this is a constitutional liberty we should not look at and blithely sign away to the executive power or to the military. So I would call for support of the amendment that will strike the provisions on keeping detainees indefinitely particularly the fact that we could now, for the first time, send American citizens to prisons abroad. I think that is a grave danger to our constitutional liberty, and I advise a vote to strike these provisions from the bill. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield back my time.
Big government Republicans and Democrats were busy shredding the last vestiges of the Constitution. Senators John McCain and Carl Levin want to enact a law that would declare the entire United States of America a battlefield for the military. They're talking about inserting the Army into domestic law enforcement. Senator Lindsey Graham, who supports this bill, says, quote, "The homeland is part of the battlefield, and people can be held without trial, whether an American citizen or not." I guess he hasn't read the Constitution recently. Retired Lieutenant Colonel Douglas McGregor joins us now. Colonel McGregor, as always, welcome back to Freedom Watch.
Thanks, Judge.
I must tell you, I was utterly appalled when I saw this legislation proposed. We didn't learn about it until last night because the committee hearings on it were done in secret, even though the Constitution requires the Congress to do these things in public. And there were no actual hearings, just a bunch of members of the Senate who got together and wrote this thing. And it basically says the president can arrest whoever he wants anywhere in the United States of America and keep them without charging them with a crime, without letting them see a lawyer, without bringing them to a judge for as long as he wants. How is that consistent with the Constitution?
Well, Judge, you're the legal expert, but whenever you suspend due process, which in effect suspends the rule of law, you walk down a very dangerous path and you give authority to your government that it can then wield essentially without restraint. What worries me is that we'll end up creating categories of people who are then subject to arbitrary arrest. And that's dangerous because we don't know how those categories will be defined or interpreted in the future. All in all, it's a disaster, and it's something that should be defeated.
One day, the president of the United States, whomever he or she might be, might say, okay, let's arrest that guy.
Suppose the president decided that one of his political opponents was an enemy of the state. He could make that person disappear. Sounds fanciful, sounds crazy, but it's true.
Gee, that's right up Obama's alley. He likes that stuff. Yeah, looks like I'm going to get defeated. I'll just get rid of the guy. We'll just declare him I don't like the way he parts his hair, and let's see on a terror. Yep, parts his hair on the wrong side. Yeah, he's a terrorist. We're going to lock him up. Do you see what they've done to you this week? It's been uneventful. Nobody worry about it. Because, the basic answer from the American people is, well, what can I do about it? What you can do about it is you can kick these bums out. Lindsey Graham is a piece of garbage. I have listened to this man speak, and he turns my stomach because he is not what I would call an American. He's what I would call a globalist. And he just goes, he's kind of like a piece of used toilet paper floating down the river. And whatever way the current goes, that's the way he goes. If the river were to back up and go the other way, he'd float down that way too. He doesn't really care. He just wants to be a senator. Doesn't want to be an American. Doesn't want to be a statesman. He wants to be a senator. And we have a lot of them in Washington like that. They don't care about your rights. They don't care about my rights. The only thing they care about is whether they're going to get their butt reelected for 6 more years or 2 more years. And the ones that voted for this legislation, both in the House and the Senate, should be arrested and tried for treason. And yes, I'm calling that they should be arrested and tried for high treason and misdemeanors against the people and the Constitution of the United States. That is exactly what should be happening to these people. But the American people won't rise up. Do you realize that right now, if you're a Tea Party member, you're a terrorist. If you're an Occupy Wall Street person, you're a terrorist. If you're a terrorist, you're a terrorist. Yeah, we're back. It's the Information Nation. I'm your host, Ken, on Orion Talk Radio, oriontalkradio.com, theinformationnation.com. December 15th, 1791, Virginia ratifies the Bill of Rights, and the amendments become part of the United States Constitution. December 15th, 2011, we buried it. So let's take a look at what you lost. The First Amendment of the Constitution, they've been throwing that out the window. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or the press or the right of the people to peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievance. Out the window. Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia being necessary to secure to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Out the window. Article 3, Amendment 3, no soldier shall in time of peace be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner, or in time of war, but in the manner to be prescribed by law. Out the window. The Fourth Amendment, the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, effects, and against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue, but upon probable cause, support of oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. That's out the window. That's been out the window since the TSA. But that's okay. I want to be safe. Amendment 5, no person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising from land or naval forces or in the militia, when in actual service in time of war or public danger, nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. That's gone too. We didn't need that one. Fifth Amendment, throw it out the window. Sixth Amendment, in all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right of a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury of the state and district wherein the crime shall have been committed, which district shall have been previously ascertained by law, and to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusations, to be confronted with the witnesses against him, to have compulsory process of obtaining witnesses in his favor, and to the assistance of counsel in his defense. We can dump that one down the toilet, too. The Seventh Amendment to the Constitution, in suits of common law where the value of the controversy shall exceed $20, the right of trial by jury shall be preserved, and no fact tried by a jury shall be otherwise re-examined in any court of the United States than according to the rules of common law. Out the window. Okay, the Eighth Amendment of the Constitution. Here's one that they're going to hold you indefinitely. Excessive bail shall not be required, or excessive fines imposed, or cruel and unusual punishment inflicted. Out the window. The Ninth Amendment. The enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. Out the window. And the 10th Amendment, the powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. We can dump that. So the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, commonly called your Bill of Rights, is gone. Kiss it bye-bye. But I want to be safe. Kiss it bye-bye. Just everybody stand up, all of you people out there that want to be safe, all stand together, look at Washington and just wave bye-bye. Your rights are gone. Under what this National Defense Authorization Bill has in it, you have no rights. It's been said that a country lasts about 200 years. We managed to go 220, and your rights are gone. Your rights have just been flushed, and a lot of people out there are so brain dead, so numb from the neck up that they don't even realize they no longer have any rights. But I've watched these people in bus terminals and at the airports being frisked and fondled and x-rayed. And when you talk to them, they go, well, I want to be safe. You let me strap on my gun. I'll be as safe as I can, because very plainly the government cannot keep you safe. All the government can do is interfere in your life. But that's okay. We don't really care what goes on in this country, do we? We're just all doing this because we've got nothing better to do on a Sunday evening but sit here and talk to people. And, you know, it's after the football games. There's no football game on right now. So we just turn on our computers or turn on our car radios on Micro 1650. And we just listen to this because we've got nothing better to do. Or are we listening to this to become educated? Oh, I shouldn't say that. I should say edumacated. I be smart. I be a fart smeller or a smart feller. But do you get my drift? Where have your freedoms gone? They've been given to the idiots in Washington. They just took them away and just said, don't worry about it. We'll keep you safe. Are you missing a finger? Come with me. Oh, you got a gun? Huh, come with me. You what? You got 2 Bibles in the house? Call for backup. Barack Obama, everybody says Barack Obama lied to the American people. Barack Obama, during his campaign, told you exactly what he was going to do, and he's doing it. He's getting it done. He made the statement of, the United States of America is the greatest greatest country on earth. Help me change it. And like a bunch of fools, a whole bunch of Americans said, okay. And they just went traipsing right behind him like the sheeple, like the lemmings that they are, listening to this man and just going, but I want to make history. I want to elect the first black man to the White House. It doesn't matter that he's not a citizen. It doesn't matter that he's committed fraud. No, it doesn't matter that he sat in a church for 20 years and listened to venom spew off the pulpit. No, that didn't make any difference. The thing that made a difference is hope and change. I want hope and change. Well, I hope you have some change left when this guy's done. Because right now, your economy has been destroyed. Your housing market has been destroyed. Employment has been destroyed, and he's laughing his ass all the way to Hawaii for the next 17 days at the cost to the American people of $4 million so he can take a vacation with his family. How many people have given up their vacations because they no longer have a job? His wife has spent over $11 million traipsing all over the world like Queen Michelle. How many of you have taken a vacation lately? What are you going to do for your kids? How many of you have even still held on to your house? There are a lot of people out there losing their homes, losing their jobs, taking their savings and spending them to survive. And I told you we'd be back in about 3 minutes. It's the Information Nation. I'm your host, Ken, on Orion Talk Radio, oriontalkradio.com, theinformationnation.com. You know, it was February 27th, 1933. And there was a little thing that went, it was called the Reichstag fire. And this was set up by the Nazis. And what they did was they burned down this building and they planted papers in there stating that the communists had done it. They had only had one. Well, they tried 3 people. They only convicted 1 and they decapitated him. But the point of this is, you know, we sit back and we say, a lot of people out there say, oh, you're conspiratist. You don't know what you're talking about. And I know a lot of people out there that do talk about this stuff get the same results. You get the same results when you try to inform somebody and they say you're crazy. Well, let's look at some. This is from a book called Rise and Fall of the Third Reich by William L. Scheer. Now, it's the 30th anniversary edition. It's a short book, only 1,500 pages of very small print. But it says, on the day following the fire, February 28th, Hitler prevailed on President Hindenburg to sign a decree for the protection of the people and the state, suspending the 7 sections of the Constitution which guaranteed individual and civil liberties, described as a defensive measure against communist acts of violence endangering the state. The decree was laid down that restrictions on personal liberty, on the right of the free expression of opinion, including freedom of the press, on the rights of assembly and association, violations of privacy of postal, telegraphic, telephonic communication, and warrants for house searches, orders of confiscations, as well as restrictions on property are also permissible beyond the legal limits otherwise described. Sound familiar? Let's fast forward. September 11th, 2001. There was a small event in New York. 2 buildings came crashing down. Well, actually 3. We don't know why the third one fell down. It must have been from age. And the Pentagon was supposedly attacked. And there was an airplane that hit a field. And what was the result of that? Little thing called a Patriot Act. You see, you can't, from the German people, it was easy for them to rip their rights. It's a little bit more difficult with the American people because there's a lot of us out here that are looking at this going, oh, no, you don't. But the thing is, they have been slowly but surely just gnawing at you. And now they've completed what they wanted to do. They have taken away your rights. And you have nothing left. Oh, it won't start immediately. But as my grandfather told me, he says, he was living in Germany at the time when the brown shirts were coming into power. He got out, my grandmother did. But as he told me, one day you wake up and your neighbors aren't home anymore. And you go, where'd they go? And we don't know. In the middle of the night, they were whisked off somewhere. Maybe they were missing a finger, or they had a gun or a Bible, or they disagreed with the government. Now, if this is the type of life you're looking forward to, be my guest. But this is not the type of life I'm looking forward to, nor do I want my son or my grandchildren or my great-grandchildren looking at going, why didn't mom and dad do something about it? Did they complain to their senator? Did they write letters? This is your freedom, your God-given right to be a free person is being taken away from you by a bunch of people who never had the right, couldn't give you the rights to begin with. The Constitution says that these are God-given rights. You don't get your rights from man. What you get from man is tyranny. What you get from God is freedom. And that's what they just took from you, your God-given rights to be a free individual. And they're going to continue. Wait till you see troops in the street. They might not be American troops. They might be Canadian troops or Mexican troops or NATO. You saw how wonderful it worked out in Libya with NATO. And as we continue down this path of what these governments do, very interesting article today, as soon as I can find it here. Brave woman in the Middle East, female protesters brutally beaten with metal poles as vicious soldiers drag girls through the streets by their hair in day of shame. After being viciously beaten by 10-strong mob of Egyptian male soldiers, this woman lies helplessly on the ground with her shirt ripped open from her body, and a man kicks her with full force in her exposed chest. Moments later, she had been struck countless times in the head and body with metal batons. Not content with the brutal beating delivered by his fellow soldier, one man stomped on her head repeatedly. She feebly tried to shield her head from the relentless blows with their hands. There's let me grab this thing for you. And what I will do is I will drop the link in the chat room. See, that's one of the nice reasons you want to be in the chat room. Because you get to get all of these links and everything. And there's a video on there. There's not only pictures, but there are videos on there that that will kind of wake you up. The pictures are not pretty. Take my word for it. But you can see a parallel by what's going on in Egypt and what's going on in the United States. And it's not good. It's not good at all. Popeye just hit me up with a thing. It says, breaking news, Kim Jong-il, 2, just died. Let's see what we got here. Let's hit the link and take a look at the news article. North Korean leader Kim Jong-il II, 69, has died. His son is taking over as the leader of the country. So, don't know where in the heck that's going to leave us or anybody else. Yeah, it says news came after North Korea prepared for a hereditary succession. Kim Jong-il II inherited power after his father, revered North Korea founder Kim Il-sung, died in 1994. In September 2010, Kim Jong-il, Kim Jong-2-il, whatever you want to call him, unveiled his third son, 20-something Kim Jong-un, as his successor, putting him in high-ranking posts. So now North Korea has got a new leader, and we'll see what that brings us. I guess Obama should cancel his vacation, run over there, and bow down to the new leader of North Korea, or do whatever it is he does. But this is how fast things are moving in the world. Now, the article that I threw in the chat room, the video that they have on there, is about 2.5 minutes long, so you can catch it during the break or during the top of the hour break, or listen to the news feed and catch it later. But it shows you what these so-called police do to their people in Egypt. This is a place where Barack Obama said, "Oh yeah, let's have get rid of Mubarak." There's pictures in there where you can see what they've done to Egypt. And we're back. The Information Nation. I'm your host, Ken, on Orion Talk Radio. So anyhow, if you get back to if you happen to go to that website that I threw in the link that I threw in the chat room, and you go to that website and scroll down and look at the video, you'll see a lot of pictures up there of a country that has just been literally torn apart. They turned that just like they did to Libya, turned it into another third world country, blew them back to the Stone Age. And a lot of this is because the people are a little fed up with their elections being rigged. Sound familiar, like us? And they're protesting. Now, they're throwing rocks at the police, and the police, in turn, are beating these people to a pulp, shooting at them. And I don't understand why Obama isn't going to the United Nations and kissing a bunch of rings or other things and demanding that, we have a no-fly zone over there and they could just blow up the protesters. He seems to be good at that. He seems to be good at screwing things up. Now he wants to get us into Libya. Or not Libya, but Iran. That's going to be a big mistake. That's going to be a very big mistake. So my advice to you, Mr. President, and I use that term very loosely, don't do it. Because all you're going to do is get a lot of our people killed. He made such a big deal out of, we're pulling out of Iraq. Our last troops have got out of there. The lamestream media, they were all jumping on the bandwagon, and they were right there at Kuwait as our troops came rolling across the border. And, oh, boy, that was so thrilling. It just made my day. Coming home from a war we never should have been in the first place. And now he's looking at Iran. Go to a map of the world, swing over to the Middle East and take a look at how big that country is. You're not playing with some little third world country over there. You're playing with a country that's going to fight back, and they're going to fight back hard. And you think 4,000, they talk about, oh, well, in the 9 years of the war, we lost 4,500 Americans over there. Yeah, in the Vietnam War, we lost over 58,000. Korean War lost 50-something thousand, 60-something thousand. And what do you think, you're going to push Iran around? You don't even know what they've got over there. I don't care what your intelligence says. These people have had you running around the mulberry bush for years. And you think you're just going to march in there? You think you're going to be like, oh, I'm going to be just like Bush. We're going to have a shock and awe, and the shock and awe will be on our side because we're going to get our willies handed to us right there. If we're lucky, that's all we're going to get. And it's amazing, that everything is moving so fast. And it's like, the hell with the American people. The Tea Party went and protested. The Tea Party went to Capitol Hill and protested. They protested about Obamacare, high taxes, the bailouts. And what did we get for that? We got spit on. We got called AstroTurf. Oh, we were called racist. You come up with the name, and we were called it, except friend. Then you had Occupy Wall Street. And all these young people got out there, and they were marching down, in New York City towards Wall Street. And then you had Occupy the bathroom and Occupy the gymnasium and all the rest of that. And what did they get for it? Oh, they had all the politicians just jumping on the bandwagon there, and there was riots in the streets. But what'd they get for it? They got spit on and laughed at. These people do not care about the American people. All they care about is their own damn agenda. Put my big butt back in this senator's seat for another 6 years so I can sit down here and I can suck up all my bennies. There you go. Jax Rock says, I occupy the chat room. More you ought to occupy the chat room. I think you'd find it some interesting conversation in there. Annie says the same thing. But I get a little distracted there. The thing is, when are these so-called representatives of the people going to listen to what the people want? When are you, as Americans, going to go to your senator, your Congress, your senator, your representative, and say, hey, dude, I'm not kidding with you. The scariest thing to these people is if you turn around and tell them, it's not just me, but you see them other 150 or 200 people behind me? We're going to see to it that you don't get back into office. Because we know every vote that you've taken and how you've taken it and how you've ignored the American people and how you've taken our rights and thrown them out the window. And if people out there are expecting the Supreme Court to stand up for them and help them, forget it. Because you're not going to get it from them bunch of clowns either. All they're going to do is keep doing what they do. And that's called screwing the American people. I've talked about it for weeks here about Social Security, how it went from something that was supposed to help the elderly. It was never meant to be your total retirement, but it was supposed to supplement your retirement savings. And now all of a sudden it's a entitlement. When these people get in trouble, the first thing they do is they attack the American people. These are supposed to be our representatives. Why are we putting up with this? Why don't we kick their fanny out? Throw them all in Social Security along with the rest of us and see how fast that gets fixed. No, you don't get your congressman's pay for the rest of your life. You go into Social Security, and when you turn 65 or 66, or depending on your age, 67, 68, 92, 75, whatever the heck it is, you get to draw Social Security. That is your retirement package. Oh, medical? Oh, you get the same thing that we get. You get Obamacare. See how fast that gets fixed. As soon as you throw their lame ass in with the rest of us, you're going to see a whole lot of things get fixed. Oh, wait a minute. You can have an upgrade on your flight? No, man. Not unless your flight comes out of your own pocket. Then if you want to pay more out of your own pocket to go from flying coach to flying first class, be my guest. If you want to pay for it yourself. We will give you the cheapest ticket on an airline flying back to your district. Any upgrade you pay for out of your own damn pocket. It does not come from the taxpayers. Oh, you want to mail out political literature to help you get reelected? That comes out of your own damn pocket or your campaign fund. It does not come from the American people. Once they have to live the way we have to live, instead of living like a bunch of kings and queens and princes and princesses and that moolah that we got running around over in Hawaii right now, things might change. Things may just change. But if we continue to sit back and let them just take and take and take. They sat back and they let Jeffrey Immelt move a division to China, build a big plant in China. I listened to him the other day on RT. This is one of the most arrogant SOBs I've ever seen in my life. He's sitting there laughing about it. Oh, well, we have a good relationship with the Chinese people. They're not going to do anything to us because we have a wonderful working relationship with them. And, we're a multi-billion-dollar corporation, and we know how to handle these things. It's not like we're a bunch of dummies sitting there. No, the bunch of dummies are sitting here. Because he's letting the Chinese people not only get the plant, but all the other jobs that come along with it. A lot of people say, well, what kind of jobs are you going to get? Let's talk about jobs. You would have jobs created all the way from being a guy that goes in there and cleans the place up at night, all the way up to engineers, electronics people, sheet metal workers, machinists, electricians. That's where your jobs are. They're over there in China. So be nice to the Chinese people. We may have to ask them for more money. And he just sits there and laughs. And our Congress didn't do a damn thing about it. Well, we can't tell people where they can build their plants at. Yeah, well, you told Boeing where they could build their plant at. You told them they couldn't build in South Carolina or North Carolina because that's not a union state. You didn't seem to have a problem with that. And Boeing wants to put American workers to work. So I'm a little confused here. If you're so concerned about the American people, why don't you do something for them? Instead of trying to stick it up our chocolate whiz-wang. Break time. Jimmy X is moving the Information Nation from the 10 o'clock slot. We're going to bump right up against Joe Joseph and Freedom Link Radio. So we will be starting 1 hour earlier, starting on New Year's Day. Now, I know some of you would like that because then you don't have too far to jump. You only have to go and a click of the mouse and you'll be right over on our show, and you don't have that hour wait. Or, some may think it's a bad move. Some may think it's a good move. I think it's a good move. It starts an hour earlier. So we will be starting on January 1st. On New Year's Day, we will be starting at 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central, 6 o'clock Pacific time. And we will be starting at 8:30 Newfoundland time. And John Connor ought to know what Newfoundland time is. So just want to get you updated on that. We'll remind you again as things go. But we will be bumping right up against Freedom Link Radio with Joe Joseph. So he will do his show, and then we will do ours. And I hope that makes some of you happy. I know it did me. Anyhow. Back to all of this good stuff. Infowars.com, presidential frontrunner warns martial law being established in America. Leading GOP candidate Ron Paul has warned in recent interviews that the amendments passed in the 2012 National Defense Authorization Act, NDAA, are not only dangerous, but authorize the establishment of total martial law inside the United States. Not only does the bill in sections 1031 and 1032 declare the unconstitutional right to detain Americans indefinitely without trial, but authorizes an internet offensive and online Pentagon takeover under the pretext of cybersecurity and stopping online piracy. Yes, America has been declared a battlefield, and average Americans portrayed as potential enemies. One front of that battle continues to be the 2012 elections, where the real battle for ideas is underway. So Ron Paul gets it. His son Rand Paul gets it. I get it. There's a whole lot of other people out there that get it. Then there's a whole lot of people out there that don't get it. But someday the whole world will wake up, and it'll be dark, and it'll be scary, and there'll be nothing you can do about it. You'll just have to listen to Obama. You'll just have to all get together, kneel down in front of him, and kiss his ring. As far as I can tell. But anyhow, that's what's going on there. You know, everybody talks about Iowa. You know, Gingrich is the front runner, and Mitt Romney is the number 2 guy, and Ron Paul is the number 3 guy. And, you know, well, Gingrich has got 5,900%, and Gingrich is, and what's his name? Whitlis Romney has got 435%, and Ron Paul's got 3%. No, it's not the truth. The truth is, Ron Paul is either winning or coming in second in every poll out there that's being taken. More and more people are waking up to the fact that Ron Paul is the guy that we want, is the guy that's going to do something about this out-of-control Congress. Now, I'm not saying that Ron Paul can fix everything, but he may stop some of this stuff like this. A good example is this National Defense Authorization Act. As president, do you think Ron Paul would sign it? I don't think so. But Newt Gingrich would, in a heartbeat. Newt Gingrich would just jump up and down and go, yeah, it gives me more power. That's just what I need. I need more power. And you can pretty well figure that Mitt Romney would sign it, because that's what it would do for him. It would give him more power, the power to do what he wants. We're not only being lied to by our own government, we're being lied to by the news media, supposedly the fourth estate, the people that are supposed to be watching over the Constitution and the freedoms of us, and they're in bed with these clowns. They're all in bed together. Republicans around the country like my ideas, Obama says. This was in CNS News. President Obama asked about his low poll numbers and poor prospects for his reelection. Here it goes again. Blamed Republican intertransigence of American people's dissatisfaction. No. Anyhow, he also said rank and file Republicans like my ideas that like the ideas that we put forward. It is my job to put forward a vision for the country that benefits the vast majority of Americans, Obama told CBS 60 Minutes in an interview that aired Sunday. If I can't get Republicans to move, partially because they've made a political strategic decision that says anything Obama's for, we are against, because that's our best chance of winning an election. I don't think the American people would see that it's my failure on my part. No, wouldn't be my fault. It's not my fault that you're all enemy combatants. Y'all's like my ideas. I'm going on vacation. Be back in 17 days. I'm going to spend $4 million of your money. Yeah, I like that idea. When do I get my $4 million to go on vacation for 17 days? Well, what about the rest of the people here? I don't, the phone's not ringing. I guess he doesn't care. But we get one lie after another, after another, after another. And like we're a bunch of idiots, we're just supposed to suck it up and go, oh, yeah, he has hope and change, hope and change. That's all I'm hoping for, is to have some change left by the time this guy is done. And the hits just keep on coming. Just gets better and better and better. Report child homelessness up 33% in 3 years. 1 in 45 children in the United States, 1.6 million children, were living in the streets in homeless shelters or motels or doubled up with other families last year, according to the National Center on Family Homelessness. The number represents a 33% increase from 2007, when there were 1.2 million homeless children, according to a report the center is releasing Tuesday. This is an absurdly high number, said Ellen Bassick, president of the center. What we have new in 2010 is the effects of a man-made disaster called an economic recession. We are seeing extreme budget cuts, foreclosure, and a lack of affordable housing. This is in USA Today. This is not, USA Today is not exactly some conservative, extreme right-wing alternative news agency. See, you can, if you filter it, find the truth out in just about anything. You can read the Huffington Post, and even every now and then the Huffington Post is starting to get tired of these people because they're starting to realize they're losing their freedoms too. We have a worse situation in this country, and it gets, he can't blame Bush anymore. He's had the job for almost 3 years. Now, Bush wasn't exactly, he wasn't exactly a George Washington or an Abraham Lincoln or any of the rest of them either. But this guy here does not know what he's doing. We have one of the inmates in charge of the asylum. And he just goes on vacation. Well, the missus is going to go first because she doesn't want to hang around. I wouldn't want to hang around with you either. It could be extremely dangerous hanging around somebody like you. I mean, there might be some terrorist out there in the country. Get out of the country. Go home. Go to Kenya. Talk to your grandmother. See what she's got to say about it. And the rest of you, your brother over there and the rest of them. Maybe that's what we ought to do is call this the Working Man's Channel. Hey, this is Ken for the Information Nation on Orion Talk Radio. OrionTalkRadio.com, theinformationnation.com. Got all sorts of good stuff for you. We've been talking about this NDAA, National Defense Authorization Act, but here's something that took effect before this was even enacted, and it hasn't been enacted yet. It has been signed by Obama. He's on vacation. We don't need him to do anything. Just stay on vacation, you meathead. Meet the North Dakota family of anti-government separatists busted by cops using a Predator drone after stealing 6 cows. I love the headline because very plainly they didn't steal the cows. Meet the Brassarts, a North Dakota family deemed so dangerous that the local sheriff unleashed an unmanned Predator drone to help bring them in. The Brassarts' alleged crime: they wouldn't give back 3 cows and their calves that wandered onto their 3,000-acre farm this summer. The same aerial vehicles used by the CIA to track down and assassinate terrorists and militants in Pakistan and Afghanistan are now being deployed by cops to spy on Americans in their own backyards. Yippee! I'm going to get on the phone. I think I'm going to call Ahmadinejad, and I'm going to ask him how the hell they brought that damn Predator drone down, because when they start flying over my neighborhood, I want to line them up one right after another. Everybody's backyard gets a Predator drone. In the first place. See, this is something else that this NDAA does, posse comitatus. And if you don't know what posse comitatus is, that does not allow the military to work within the borders of the United States. It gets rid of that, too. So the military can work within the borders of the United States. The Brassarts are the first known subjects of the high-flying new surveillance technology that the federal government has made available to some local sheriffs and police chiefs, all without congressional approval or search warrants. Gee, isn't that nice? You can't film the cops, but they can sure as heck film you. Somehow that doesn't seem right. I just keep filming them. Who cares? Local authorities say the Brassarts are known for being armed anti-government separatists whose sprawling farm is used as a compound. Rodney Brassart, 55, and his wife Susan live in a house and a trailer and 2 RVs with 7 of their 8 adult children. When the cattle wandered onto Brassart's land, Sheriff Kelly Janke, who patrols a county of just 3,000 people, rounded up some of the sheriff's deputies and arrested Mr. Bessart for failing to report the stray livestock. They also took away his daughter, Abby, after she allegedly hit an officer during the arrest. When the cops returned to collect the lost cattle, 3 of Bessart's sons, Alex, Jacob, and Thomas, confronted Sheriff Janke with rifles and shotguns and would not allow the officers on the farm. Well, gee there, copper, you got a search warrant? How's about one of them there pieces of paper says a judge allows you to come on my properties? Otherwise, I'm going to ventilate your butt. Holy crap. A spy plane comes home. Privacy advocates fear the use of predator drones on U.S. citizens gives the police agencies too much power. That's when the sheriff summoned a $154 million MQ-9 Predator B drone from nearby Grand Forks Air Force Base, where it was patrolling the U.S.-Canadian border for the Department of Homeland Security. We have a lot of terrorists that are crossing the Canadian border. John Connor's one of them. Ain't that right, John? You got all them Canadistans up there that are, they're flocking, coming across the border by 2 or 3 at a time, a day, a month, whatever it is. You're just sneaking across our border. Yeah. So we've got to go up there and we've got to protect the United States of America from Canadians. Somehow I don't think so. Using a handheld device that picked up video camera footage from the spy plane, Sheriff Janke was able to watch the movements of everyone on the farm. During a 16-hour standoff, the sheriff and his deputies waited until they could see the remaining Bessarts put down their weapons. Then, dressed in SWAT gear, they stormed the compound and arrested the 3 Bessart sons. No shots were fired. You both broke the damn law. You broke posse comitatus because you've got no right using the military to help you in police work. That has to be a direct response request from the governor, not from the local sheriff. Point number 1. Point number 2, you stormed their property without a search warrant. Point number 3, you would look like a bunch of yahoos running around in SWAT gear. Why in the heck is it we've got these type of yo-yos as sheriffs and their deputies? What, do they all got one bullet? It's green? It hides in their pocket, and every now and then they take it out and clean it? Susan Bessart, the matriarch of the clan, was later arrested as well. Police also recovered the cattle valued at $6,000. We use a $154 million aircraft to track down $6,000 worth of beef. Where's the beef? They face several felony charges and have repeatedly not shown up for court after posting a $250,000 bail. U.S. Customs and Border Protection agents fly 8 Predator remote-controlled aircraft to patrol the American borders with Canada and Mexico, searching for smugglers and illegal immigrants. But increasingly, the federal government and local police agencies are using those drones to spy criminal suspects in America with sophisticated high-resolution cameras, heat sensors, and radar. All of it comes without a warrant. Gee, that definitely violates my constitutional right. See, I happen to live in the Republic of the United States of America, not in your corporate world. So you can tell, I've got this middle finger syndrome. I think I caught it from JJ Inc. And you bring your high resolution camera. You can see exactly what I'm flipping you. Allowing local sheriffs and police chiefs access to spy planes happened without public discussion or the approval of Congress, and it has privacy advocates crying foul, saying the unregulated use of drones is intrusive. There is no question that this could become something that the people will regret. Former Representative Jane Hartman, a Democrat, told the Los Angeles Times. The sheriff says that might not be have been possible without the intelligence from the predators. We don't have to go in guns blazing. We can take our time and methodically plan out what our approach should be. All of the surveillance occurred without a search warrant because the Supreme Court has long ruled that anything visible from the air, even if it's on private property, can be subject to police spying. However, privacy experts say the predators' drones which can silently fly for 20 hours nonstop, dramatically surpasses the spying power that any police helicopter or airplane can achieve. Really? Electronic surveillance, that's called bugging. You just bugged this guy's property without a warrant. You went into his property without a warrant. You arrested them without a warrant. Or what are you going to say? Oh, we had probable cause. I don't care if you've got probable cause. The fact of the matter is you busted into this man's property. Now, just because it's 3,000 acre, what about your quarter acre house? Your house sits on a quarter acre of land doesn't mean nothing. Because they can just kick down your doors and come busting in there and grab you and drag your butt off. They ought to be dead. These cops, these police officers ought to be very damn lucky that they weren't killed. Or at least end up in a gun battle that would have rattled their cages for a long, long time. It's kind of like Ruby Ridge, isn't it? I guess we're back. Holy cry. That's what I get for taking naps all the time, I'll tell you. Not paying attention to what the heck is going on. Oh, well, so far, now that I've depressed you people thoroughly, I'll give you some happy news. Chelsea Clinton made a broadcast debut on NBC's Rock Center. It's no surprise whatsoever. Chelsea Clinton didn't electrify to broadcast journalism with her debut Monday night on Rock Center with Brian Williams because she has no experience in broadcast journalism. She didn't cut her teeth with live coverage, blah, 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 blah. Basically, what they said was she bombed. So she bombed. What can I say? The Clintons can't do everything. They're going to try, though. They're going to just try. Now, this one here, and this is on myfoxdc.com. You'll find it on my website. A D.C. resident fined thousands for not recycling cat litter. I didn't know you were supposed to recycle cat litter. I thought that cat litter was cat litter. It, went in the garbage, but apparently it says here it's the law in D.C. recycle or face fine from the Department of Public Works. But is enforcement of the law going too far? DuPont Circle resident Patricia White says she has been fined 8 times for throwing homemade cat litter in her trash. The fines total $2,000. White says she spreads old newspaper and junk mail to use as cat litter. She believes she's helping the environment by reusing the paper and avoiding cat litter you find in stores. After being fined several times, White says she called the Department of Public Works inspector who issued the tickets. According to White, the inspector admitted to digging through the trash looking for violations. Boy, if he'd have been doing that to me, I'd have left him a violation. White even appealed the violations in D.C. court. Judge Andrew Jenkins agreed with the inspector after White explained the situation. Fox 5 tried to reach Judge Jenkins, but her office has declined to comment. I'm surprised that they just fined her. I think she should be down in Guantanamo, and they should at least be strip searching her and torturing her, making her listen to, I don't know, whoever. This is where we've gotten from. We have public works officials digging through your trash, which my understanding of it, and I'm not a lawyer, so don't take my word for this, but my understanding is that your trash is your trash until it ends up in the garbage truck. Not in the little bin where they dump it, but it has to be inside the garbage truck. So very plainly, this man should have gotten a warrant to inspect her trash. And I wonder if that something, could come of this. Maybe they should have fined the cat. She's recycling the old newspaper, junk. Maybe the problem is, maybe that's the problem. The cat was going to the bathroom on the newspaper, and what's found in there is crap anyhow, so they found it excessive crap. That's where the problem lies. That's where the problem lies. Excessive poop. First what's written on the pages, and then what's dumped on the pages. Apparently the cat was all upset. It's redundant to crap on some of the newspapers out there. It's pretty darn bad when you look at something like somebody's TV tabloids, and you get better reporting out of them than you get out of the regular news. Oh. Obama's twisted version of American exceptionalism laid bare. President Barack Obama would like the world to know that the U.S. can do whatever it damn well pleases. Thank you very much. Obama also wants the whole wide world to get this through its thick skull. Only rogue governments that implement a policy of rendition, torture, indefinite detention, and extrajudicial assassinations are guilty of human rights abuses and should be held accountable. That sounds just like the National Defense Authorization Act. I'm going to keep that one. And I think very plainly we ought to take our illustrious president, and as soon as they start detaining American citizens, we ought to take this and stick this right up his chocolate whiz-wang and light it on fire for him. Because you said it, dude. Rendition, torture, indefinite detention. And that's exactly what the National Defense Authorization Act calls for, indefinite detention. It doesn't specifically say tortures. You know, that's another thing I don't understand. John McCain was a POW during the Vietnam War, and he was tortured and all of that stuff and indefinitely detained. And he'd not only go along with this, I mean, he stood up there and he was one of the cheerleaders for this thing. Does that make sense to anybody out there? I mean, if it makes sense to somebody, please let me know. If it doesn't make sense, please let me know. And we can discuss this one way or the other, because they're taking away our freedoms and then they're turning around saying, well, if any other country does it, you know, they should be held accountable. So I want you to get this damn thick skull. It's not us. Just because we do it, just don't do what we do what we tell you to do. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And, of course, the women's libs people have to get involved. Women disproportionately impacted by climate change, liberal activists say. Now, I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that the women were having a problem because of the climate change. I don't know, any of you ladies out there, if you'd like to jump in the chat room and explain this to me. But according to them, your problem is climate change. Apparently, it's not the guy that's beating the hell out of you every night or the fact that you don't have any money to feed you and any food in the house to feed your kid. It's climate change. Is there anything else we can blame on climate change? We could blame John McCain on climate change. There we go. Good old John McCain. You've been busted for climate change. It's your fault. Everything is John McCain's fault. So I really don't know what to tell you. It's getting weird. We're coming on. No, we got a couple minutes yet, so let's get through this. Climate change is a gender issue because it affects men and women differently. Feminists told a conference in Washington, D.C. this week. Women are more adversely affected by climate change because it magnifies pre-existing gender inequality. Magnifies pre-existing gender inequalities, said Laimi El Fatal, a member of the Women's Organization for Change in Agriculture and Natural Resources. El Fatal argued that women are disproportionately affected by climate change because they have less access to and control over productive resources, such as land, livestock, seeds, fertilizer, credit, technologies, information, education, health, and the availability to understand climate forecasts. El Fatal and other speakers at the event said 80% of the world's small farmers are women, and because these women are poor and face discrimination, they don't have the same access to resources that men do, El Fatal said. It sounds like a case of discrimination. It doesn't sound like a case of climate change. You know, maybe if we could shut this woman up, along with some of the other ones that we have running around, and along with all them idiots that we have in Washington, we wouldn't have a climate change problem because there wouldn't be all of this CO2 going into the air. They're affecting climate change. They're killing our ozone. So Congress, please become green. Shut the hell up. Unbelievable. Just cotton picking unbelievable. We just have all sorts of fun with this. And the hits just keep on a-rocking and a-rolling. They just keep... It's the Information Nation, your host, Ken, on Orion Talk Radio. OrionTalkRadio.com, theinformationnation.com. Is everybody having fun tonight? I want to know that everybody's having a good time. I know Obama is. He's going to Florida. Or no, Hawaii. Wherever the heck he's going. Who cares where he goes anymore? You just get tired after a while of following all of these clowns. And the debates are disgusting. The only guy up there making any sense is Ron Paul. They don't want to give him any time. You got Gingrich up there who's looks like the Grinch that stole Christmas, or who wants to steal Christmas. He made a statement the other day. He said that he doesn't care what the judges say. He's going to do whatever he wants. And I find that interesting. He makes a statement, and nobody calls him on it. Nobody turns around and says, did you ever heard of the Constitution? Apparently, a lot of them have heard about the Constitution, and they just don't care. It's just a thing where they're going to sit back and do whatever they want to do. And the hell with the American people. And it's a shame. They took the most vibrant, powerful economy ever created by man, and they've destroyed it. And it's going to get worse. It's not going to get any better. It's going to get worse. They're screwing us so many ways. They're screwing us every which way but loose. They're sending our jobs overseas. They're sending our boys and girls overseas to get killed or maimed. They're destroying other economies and other nations. They're destroying other nations. They're passing the National Defense Authorization Bill and taking away our rights. And people don't seem to care. I'm not saying they don't care. I'm saying they don't seem to care. A lot of people do care, but they don't know what to do. And it's our job here on Orion and other alternative news media and the people that listen to us and that read other alternative news media to make them aware of what's going on. You don't have to beat them over the head. All you got to do is, like they say, you can lead a horse to water, you can't make him drink. Put a little salt in his oats, make him thirsty. Because once they get thirsty and once they start finding out what's being done to them, see, most of the people, even my wife, when she talks to people, at her work or at a meeting or something, and they're, oh, yeah, what do you got to back it up? The nicest thing in the world is to hand them an article. And if you can hand them that article and just say, well, here, why don't you look at this? Get them thinking. Get them really thinking about what's going on in the world. Right now I'll give you a report on sports. There's football played today. That's as far as it goes. Sports time is over. Want weather report? It's dark out. Okay, back to the other stuff. Give them a little piece of paper with an article on it. And when they start saying, well, where'd you hear about that? Tell them, hey, I listen to Orion Talk Radio on the internet. I listen to this guy Joe Joseph or Popeye or Ken on Information Nation or Jay Jinks or Jimmy X. We have enough programming out there that there's got to be some time in their life during their day on a weeknight or on a weekend that they can tune into Orion and they can hear and they can listen. And whether they agree with us or not, every one of us will give you references. All the stuff that I talk about is posted on my website. And all the stuff that I talk about comes from regular news media. And that's the problem that a lot of people have, is because they'll listen to you, but you got nothing bad. Where'd you hear that from? Oh, that guy's crazy. Till you turn around and you hand them something from the Washington Post. And then the next time they turn around and jump you about you're crazy, you hand them something from CNS News, or you hand them something from Reuters, or you hand them something from whatever news agency that we've got posted on our websites that you just hit the link and go right to that page, right on their website, and you print it out for them and say, here, this is where I got that from. I want you to read this. Tell me what you think. You know, they're only going to laugh for a while. Excuse me. They're only going to laugh for a short time until they find out that you're right. And then they're going to start to say, hey, you know, I read that article, and you got any more of that stuff? And that's the way to do it. One of the problems that we have in the alternative media and the alternative world is the fact that we've gone about this all wrong, beating people over the heads with it. You know, if you approach them softly, that's why, you know, Ryan T-shirt is so important. You know, when people go, well, Orion Talk Radio, what channel are they on? And you tell them, oh, really? What they got on there? Oh, hey, they got all these guys on there. They talk about this, they talk about that. You know, get them to listen sometime when Popeye's got one of his guests on there, or Joe Joseph. You know, let them tune in on a Sunday night. The kids are in bed. Hey, we're on late enough at night. They can tune in here. Anything they want to find out about me is wide open. Like I say, it's on the website. Popeye's got it on his website. Joe Joseph's got it on his. It's all out there. We just save you the trouble of having to dig through it. See, that's what these politicians and these New World Order people want. They want to hit you with so much stuff that there's no way that you as one individual can find it all. That's why you have multiple show hosts on alternative news. We do the searching for you, and we find what's important, and we find it out from the mainstream media, or we'll find it out from secondary sources, or we will be calling people. We will find out exactly what is going on, and we will report it to you, and we will give you our sources. A lot of people rap on Alex Jones. You know, oh, he's this, oh, he's that. Listen, Alex Jones gives you references, so you know, you go to his website and you read something, and you can click on any of the links there, and it'll take you right to his the website from where he's getting the information from. It's the same thing when somebody writes a book. Have you ever looked in the back of the book? The book that I was reading tonight, Rise and Fall of the Third Reich by William L. Scheer. It's the 30th edition. And he has approximately, let me give you a rough example here, of just notes, about 150 pages or more of notes, where he tells you where he's getting all of his information from. There's tons of notes. And this book is, like I say, it's 1,500 pages long, very small print, and it's paperback. But that's what you do. If you want to be known as a legitimate author or radio show host, you've got to give people your sources. You've got to say, hey, I got this like tonight. The women's climate change article is on CNS News. The link is on my website. Obama's twisted version of America, that came from truth.org. And it's on my website. D.C. resident fined thousands for not recycling cat litter. MyFoxDC.com. It's on my website. Chelsea Clinton makes broadcast debut on NBC's Rock Center. It's on my website. Washington Post. The people in North Dakota, let's see where that's from. The Daily Mail out of the UK. It's on my website. And all the links are there. Report child homelessness up 33% in 3 years. Comes from USA Today. Republicans around the country like my ideas, CNS News. Iowa, Paul closes within 1 point to front-runner Gingrich. That comes from thedailycaller.com. Brave women in Middle East, female protester brutally beaten. I told you that link is on my website. I put the link in the chat room when we were talking about it earlier. Comes from the Daily Mail, and there are other people out there who've got this similar stuff out there. So everything is documented. And that's how you wake people up. They're so used to the mainstream media, but they don't read all of this stuff. You got to get it worked into a conversation, and then just hand them an article and say, tell me what you think of this. Then you get them eventually, little by little, you get them to listen to Orion. And before you know it, you've got a convert. And I just took the last part of my show to talk to you about that.